Recently, we've been talking about the horrible Jeffrey Epstein files and all that stuff, showing politicians in a pretty bad light. But hey, there's so much more to politicians. Sometimes politicians can even have fun.
Well, welcome to the Weird World Podcast. I'm Carrie.
I'm Dean.
I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit better for my...
Yes, your psyche from coming off
Exactly.
your, Epstein depression. Well, and you're probably asking, what? Politicians have fun? You might be surprised. Sometimes they do. So I'm going to start. These are just little stories culled from political history.
Okay.
It starts with the governor of Virginia back in the early 2000s. His name is Mark Warner. He's now a senator.
Oh, I've heard of him.
From Virginia. He was leaving office. Virginia only has one term. I think the last state remaining that you cannot repeat yourself. You cannot succeed yourself in office there. So he was leaving office in 2006, I believe. After the 2005, they have their governor elections in some weird years. And he said, you know what? The guy who's coming in, Tim Kaine, who is now also a senator from Virginia and former vice presidential candidate, he knew him. They're friends. So he said, I'm going to mess with him. And what he did was he got a huge cutout of him standing there, and a life-size cutout, and he hid it in the shower of the executive mansion for Tim Kaine to go take a shower and find a picture of Mark Warner in the shower with him. And he just did this, and Tim Kaine finds it. It's like, what the fuck? So Tim Kaine says, I'll get back at him. He took the cutout. This is just a couple weeks later, I think. He colored it purple, it said, and then he instead of Mark Warner's face that he had on, he got a very, very unflattering picture of Mark Warner that Time magazine had recently run.
Nice,
just a gross looking face,
uh-huh.
And he blew up that face and he put that ugly Mark Warner on the cutout, and then Mark Warner came to get some kind of a prize or some kind of award or some kind of a ceremony for him. No, that's what it was. It was the unveiling of his official state portrait.
Okay.
And so he unveils it. And he unveils the life-size cutout that Mark Warner had left him with the ugly Mark Warner face on. And Mark Warner had a good time with it and thought it was very funny. So Tim Kaine is now leaving office in 2010. At the 2009 election, brought in his successor, Bob McDonnell, a Republican. Tim Kaine and Mark Warner were both Democrats. And he says, I guess we've established, kind of a thing now. Governors of Virginia are going to prank each other on the way out, I guess. So what he did is that Tim Kaine hid a bunch of cell phones in very difficult to reach places, like inside the walls or on top of elevators throughout the mansion. I'm sure he had staff who did that for him. And then he would call those phones at various times, like in the morning, at day, and they're like, where the fuck is that cell phone ringing come from? What's going on? It's in the walls. It's like they couldn't find it. And so that was his little prank on Bob McDonnell. So Bob McDonnell, 4 years later, his I guess they said 2014, after the 2013 election, he did something very similar. He hit an alarm clock in the bedroom, the official governor's mansion bedroom, in a place that couldn't find it. And he set it to go off at 4 a.m.
Oh, that's not nice.
His successor, Democrat Terry McAuliffe, was a famously early riser. He'd get up. So he is actually up already when the alarm went off at 4 a.m.
Backfired.
Yeah, it didn't quite work. Nonetheless, though, McDonnell had a plan B. I don't know if he knew McAuliffe was, but just a second one he did. So he had a giant, full black bear taxidermied, and he hid that in the bathroom of the governor's executive, the master bedroom in the governor's mansion. So Terry McAuliffe walked in there and saw a giant black bear, growling at him. So that's fun.
Oh, Governor hijinks.
2018. Oh, we're not done, Carrie.
Oh.
There's been more governors since then. Terry McAuliffe now is leaving office in 2018, and his successor was Democrat Ralph Northam. He left Ralph Northam custom-made pillows with his Terry McAuliffe face on them in the executive mansion bedroom. And he had like a quote coming out, and it was a famous quote that Terry McAuliffe had said many times. It said, Sleep When You're Dead was his famous quote. But this guy, he got it before 4 a.m. like a dick. Northam's reaction was that he thought it was hilarious. He said, when Governor McAuliffe said he expected I'd lose some sleep over the next 4 years, I didn't know he meant starting on night 1. Now he'll never be too far from my mind. The last one, the most recent one, was Governor Ralph Northam. He then gave it the office to Republican Glenn Youngkin in January of 2022. And he did just like, I'll go for quantity over quality. He did various things. He left a blue fleece vest for Glenn Youngkin. I guess Glenn Youngkin was famous for always wearing a red fleece vest, red for Republican, blue for Democrat. He left a life-size cardboard cutout of former President Donald Trump for him, at the time, former President Donald Trump. He left stickers with pot themes, like weed, marijuana themes, all over the place because cannabis had been decriminalized and Glenn Youngkin was against that. He left flags from the University of Houston, which was the rival to Rice University, where Youngkin had gone. And he left a book, an autographed book by Terry McAuliffe, who he had just beat in the election. McAuliffe was trying to regain the governorship, and he had just beat him. So that's the last one so far. Glenn Youngkin, who ran as kind of a moderate Republican, was actually a very conservative Republican.
Yeah,
almost certainly be followed by a Democrat, and so we'll see if he continues the hijinks of the governors of Virginia.
I kind of think he doesn't have.
I wouldn't be surprised if
sense of humor.
Or he can go for Plan B, which is what Bill Clinton and the Clinton administration did, is maybe it's not so pleasant. Maybe it's not so nice. Maybe it's actually pretty dickish and kind of mean. In 2020, when Bill Clinton gave up the White House to George W. Bush, the Clinton folks did a lot of pranks. They did a lot of little prank things, but in hindsight, they weren't that funny. They're really kind of mean. So they did things like they ripped phone cords from the walls. They left obscene voicemails for the Bush people to hear and play back. They covered their desk with glue, and they even stole some antiques from the White House, which not only is that not really a prank, it's more thievery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did some that were a little funner, like they went to all the keyboards they could find in the clerical staff, and they took the letter W off of them everywhere. So there's no W's on a bunch of the keyboards. That's a little bit better.
That's the only one that I endorse. Everything else they did, that they just sound terrible.
They were nasty. They were they were not funny.
Yeah.
They were just dickish. They affixed to cabinets the words like "Get Out" and "Hail to the Thief," because Bush kind of
stole that one.
Stole the election from Al Gore. And all in all, they did about $15,000 worth of damage to the White House. In fact,
I was going to say that's like vandalism. That's not.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was more vandalism than it was pranks. At first they said, "Oh no, everybody does that." I mean, when Clinton came into office, he found a bunch of Bush quail stickers in his desk or something like that. Harmless fun. But what they did was really kind of nasty and mean and childish.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I think we all are. John F. Kennedy. You know John F. Kennedy, I'm sure.
Not personally.
He was famous for playing touch football, having an annoying accent, liking to have sex with as many women as physically possible, and also having fun with his friends. So he had a very good friend named Lem Billings, one of his closest friends, and this is when he was early days in the White House. And Lem Billings went to France just on a vacation and came back, and he's talking with his buddy Jack, and he is bragging constantly that, "Oh my God, I met Greta Garbo in Paris," the famous ex-actress. Greta Garbo was a very famous actress, I believe, from like the 30s.
Wasn't she a famous recluse too?
Yeah, she was famously reclusive, I believe. But he had met her in Paris and bragged about they actually were, quote, an item. And they had really got along just fantastic. And maybe there's something there with him and Greta.
So wait, what did you want to know?
This is probably like 1961 or 2 or so. How old would Greta Garbo have been?
She was born in 1905.
Okay.
So she would have been in her
late
50s.
50s.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know how old Lem Billings was, but anyway, he was just bragging to Jack Kennedy how he was an item with Greta Garbo. So Jack Kennedy set up a dinner at the White House with him and Jackie, Billings, and Greta Garbo. He didn't tell. I don't know if he told Lem Billings or not.
Yeah.
But he had Greta Garbo arrive early, and he told, "Okay, here's what happened. Here's what he said to me. I want you to do me a favor. Pretend like you have no idea who he is. You've never met him. So Billings comes in here and says, "Oh my God, Greta, how is it going? It's so good to see you again." And she just returned just this stare, this glare, and she said, "I have never seen this man before."
She was an actor.
For an hour as they have dinner, she kept up with it. He's like going, "No, remember we went whatever. We walked the Champs-Élysées. We had coffee and and we had beignets. Don't you remember any of these things?" I don't know if beignets are in France or just Louisiana. But anyway, he was
croissants. They would have croissants or a baguette.
Butter. And so I wore a jaunty beret. She's just like, "I don't know who you are. I've never met you. I don't have any recollection of meeting." This wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And finally, and Jack Kennedy is like saying things like, you know what? Maybe it was like a Greta Garbo double. Maybe someone pretended to be Greta Garbo. Maybe he's that big. He goes, "No, it's Greta Garbo." I don't know if he told him eventually, but they ended the dinner with him like, "Fuck,
wow,
she doesn't remember me." Nasty. Another time, this is in the early 1950s, there was going to be this is when Harry Truman was still president, early 50s. There's going to be a big Washington kind of a trip, the whole official trip into South America. And of course, they would bring a whole plane full of reporters. All the big reporters would be there. One of those reporters was named Tony Vaccaro. He was a White House beat reporter. He was horrified of needles. He could not get a shot. The littlest needle. And they said, "Oh my God, you're going to have to get a shot for yellow fever." In places we're going, yellow fever is still a thing. It's very, very dangerous. So he was just like, I don't know. This is going to be just sweating bullets thinking about it. Finally, the White House doctor came back and said, "You know what? No, it's optional. You don't have to. It's not as bad as we thought." He's like, "Oh my God, thank God. I'm not getting this shot for yellow fever." Then, like a day or two before they're going to leave, word got back from the White House. Mistakes were made. It is not optional. Everyone on that plane has to get a shot for yellow fever. And so, and they had him they brought him into like a clinic, and they basically kind of bum rushed him into this little clinic thing to get his shot. He's yelling, by the way, "I don't believe in shots." And he gets into a little office, and they show him this gigantic hypodermic needle. Literally the kind of needle that veterinarians use for horses.
Yeah.
And they filled it with a blood red liquid that looked just horrifying and terrifying. And he's just like, he's sweating bullets. But it's like basically, you could lose your job.
I was going to say,
and, he's a pro.
Did he quit?
No, he's a journalist. So he goes, "Okay." And he's got, "Okay, but we have to shoot in your ass." So he drops his pants, get the shot, and then suddenly the doctor comes in to administer the shot. He takes the hypodermic needle, and the doctor then says, "This won't hurt a bit, Tony." Tony recognizes the voice. He turns around. That doctor is President Harry Truman, pretending to be a doctor with a giant shot in his ass. And he's pissed, I'm sure, but he's just relieved.
Yeah.
Okay, this has all been a big practical joke. And he famously quipped, "Mr. President, I did not usually greet presidents of the United States from this position." Because he still has
I was going to say, yeah.
Ready for that shot. So Harry Truman had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Well, Abraham, I didn't have this written down, but I read this in my research. Abraham Lincoln at once was debating some guy running for office, and the dude just said kind of some nasty things about it. And Lincoln's like, "How am I going to?" He was speaking second. He's like, "How am I going to get back at this guy?" So he goes, "Fuck it," and he went back on stage, and he then basically repeated what that guy's speech had just said, but in a mocking, derisive, like just mocked him, just made fun of him, like, and you sound like this, just like a child.
Yeah.
The audience loved it, ate it up. He looks over on the other side of the stage, and his opponent is crying.
Oh no!
He has been so humiliated by Abraham Lincoln, just mocking him horrifically. Lincoln had a sense of humor too. Once, when another political opponent accused him of being like an elitist, which he famously was not.
Yeah.
So he goes, "Okay." So he walks over to him, grabs, and he had a vest on. He grabbed his vest and ripped it, and he showed like this fancy a frilled undershirt that he was wearing and like a gold watch or something that he had kind of hidden. And the dude was like, and said, okay, now who's the fop now? And the guy was so pissed off, he was going to challenge him to a duel. And the person who's being dueled can pick the weapons. He said, okay, the biggest, heaviest cavalry sword imaginable. The guy was a tiny little dude. Abraham Lincoln was a big, strong dude. You know, so he just stormed off and left. So more reasons to like Abraham
How come we
Lincoln.
don't hear these stories about Abraham Lincoln?
The fun stuff. We just see him depressed in the White House with a crazy wife. Damn it.
And the Honest Abe stuff.
Yeah, that too. Sure. There's the good stuff. New Mexico brings us some fun from 1995. In 1995, a state senator named Duncan Scott decided, you know what? I am so sick of these psychologists and psychiatrists who go on criminal defense things and they say, just spout their bullshit. You know, he thought they were full. He thought psychiatry was absolute nonsense. He didn't believe in it. I don't know if he's a Scientologist or not, but he thought it was bullshit. And he thought these people doing that were kind of full of shit. I don't know, but I suspect he might believe the same thing I do, which is they say whatever they're paid to say.
Yeah.
But he was really just sick and tired of it. He thought he wanted to kind of bring them down, these psychiatrists and psychologists. He wanted to bring them down a notch in court. So he presented a bill that said, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. This bill said in the state of New Mexico, during a trial, this would be law. Ready? Mm-hmm. When a psychologist or psychiatrist testifies during the defendant's competency hearing, the psychologist or psychiatrist shall wear a cone-shaped hat that is not less than 2 feet tall. The surface of the hat shall be imprinted with stars and lightning bolts. Additionally, the psychologist or psychiatrist shall be required to don a white beard that is not less than 18 inches in length and shall punctuate crucial elements of his testimony by stabbing the air with a wand. Whenever a psychologist or psychiatrist provides expert testimony regarding the defense competency, the bailiff shall dim the courtroom lights and administer 2 strikes to a Chinese gong. End quote. Yes, you heard that right. Duncan Scott wanted to force psychiatrists to dress like wizards and testify as if they were wizards if they were going to testify in a court of law in New Mexico. A phenomenal idea. It passed.
Oh my God.
By voice vote in the Senate.
Yeah.
But like all states but Nebraska, there's two bodies in the legislature there. So the House of Representatives in New Mexico had heard about them and they stripped it before they passed the law there. He attached it to like some larger law enforcement thing. Yeah. And it was like voice vote. So no one was paying attention when they had the vote, but they stripped it. Too bad. Yeah. That'd be fun. Can you imagine the video? That'd be so. I am actually very much in favor of that happening. My next story comes another with some fun with legislatures. It was in Texas. It was way back in 1971. It was April 71 when Tom Moore and Lane Denton, they were both folks in the Texas legislature at the time. They presented what's super common. You know what they say, hey, let's honor someone. Some worthy person who did charitable works or whatever, some philosopher, maybe some, political donor or something like that. Very non-controversial, unless it's some, like Trump giving the Kennedy Award to Kid Rock or something like that. Yeah. Usually these things are very non-controversial. And everybody just passes them by voice vote. There's nothing to it. So he introduced this bill to honor this person, and he listed what this person had done over the years that were so good. And he said that the name of the person, by the way, was Albert DeSalvo. He said DeSalvo had, quote, enabled the weak and the lonely throughout the nation to achieve and maintain a new degree of concern for their future. Interesting. He said that DeSalvo had, quote, been officially recognized by the state of Massachusetts. And that recognition was for his, quote, noted activities and unconventional techniques involving population control and applied psychology, end quote. Fascinating, isn't that? So the Texas legislature voted unanimously to pass the honorarium for one Albert DeSalvo, who you might better know as the Boston Strangler. Oh, my God. Who had committed his murders just a few years before this. In fact, just 2 years before this, the Tony Curtis movie about the Boston Strangler had been a box office smash. Those little quotes he said, so the reason that he had maintained a new degree of concern for their future. That's because he had made the vulnerable fear for their lives, is what Tom Moore would later say. He had been officially recognized by the state of Massachusetts. Yeah. He'd been convicted and sentenced to life in prison. And his noted activities, an unconventional techniques involving population control, is because he murdered people.
The population control should have been
You would think.
the clue.
In the early 70s, population control was actually quite the popular issue.
Really?
Yeah, it was. So afterward, the press found out about it, and people were pissy about it. One source I said that the two, Moore and Denton, just said, "Oh, it was just a joke," and they withdrew it. But now, and other sources, and this is a story that I remember this story from many years ago, hearing about it. But they were trying to make a point that stop just doing these things without reading the bill and things like that. One of them, I think it was Moore, said, "No one reads these bills or resolutions. If someone gets up and says it's a good proposal, everybody votes yes without reading or even giving it a second thought." Well, so obviously it wasn't just they did withdraw it, but they made their point.
Yeah.
I'm going to end with two speeches in legislatures, one from England and the other one from the United States. The one from England is, I'm going to tell you about it because it sounds like it was funner than it really was, I feel like. In 2014, a conservative member of parliament, her name was Penny Mordaunt, she was asked by the government, David Cameron's government, to give a speech about poultry, specifically about welfare of poultry. I guess people were up and, like, oh, treat them more humanely, things like that. And so she said, okay, you're going to, I don't know if she was on the agriculture committee or something like that, but said, you're going to give a speech about poultry and about health and about welfare for poultry. So she did. And because she thought it was funny and clever, she tried to sneak the word cocks into this speech as many times as she possibly could. She just kept on saying the word cocks and saying the word lane in this sly innuendo, trying to do it. She finished her speech about her speech about how she wished there'd be no cock-ups in the application of this hen poultry bill or policy or whatever they were talking about.
Yeah.
No one noticed at first that she had done this little, this juvenile humor in her speech. But then since no one noticed, she told the press. She went to the press and said, "Look what I did. Here's a copy of my speech. Write about it." So they did. Then a bunch of people got pissed off at her and said, "Oh, that was very juvenile and immature, and it really demeans the parliament."
Yeah.
The public was absolutely in favor of her. They thought it was very funny, thought it was hilarious. Later, she would claim that she did this because she was like a Navy reservist, and she had lost a bet, and she was duty-bound and honor-bound to do this. I'm going to call bullshit, Penny, because you told the press about it. If you weren't looking for publicity, which is clearly your desire here, then you wouldn't have told the press about it. You little twit. You won the bet, or you covered the bet, whatever. You didn't Welsh. So not. I'm sorry. I found it. She just says the word cocks.
Yeah.
When she's talking about chickens, no shit.
Yeah.
It's actually really unimpressive.
Yeah.
Not impressed. You know what was impressive? Oregon. In 2010, a Democratic state legislator named Jefferson Smith, he was in the Oregon State House. He decided that he wanted to heal some of the partisanship. This is right when the Republicans were kind of going nuts. It's the whole anti-Obama thing. It was the country had already been more polarized than ever before, but it was getting worse in 2010. It really ratcheted up a notch in 2010. So he thought, hey, let's get us all together. Let's find something we can all, Democrats and Republicans, can do together and have some fun. So he decided to rickroll the Oregon State Legislature with a few select Democrats and a few select Republicans. He knew that, look, we want to say the entire lyrics to the classic Rick Astley song, "Never Gonna Give You Up." Mm-hmm. This is Rickrolling was a big thing in I guess the late 2000s, I think. Something like where you'd click on something you thought was something else, and you would suddenly go right to YouTube to listen to "Never Gonna Give You Up" by Rick Astley, a phenomenal song. Let's be honest about that. And so he did that. So he had all these. They got together. They planned it. They choreographed it perfectly. Where each of them would say just 3, 4, 5, 6 words at a time, sneak into their speech. They did it over 2 months.
Oh my God.
2 months. Because they didn't want to give it up. And some were really difficult, like "ooh" and "hurt you" to get in there. I mean, you had to literally say it. I'm going to play it for you here in just a minute. But essentially, he was then able to cobble together a roll, which I'm going to play for you in a minute. It's on YouTube, that
strings
plays
it
the
all together.
Entire song. I
Wow.
probably won't play the whole thing for you, but it strung the entire song from just outtakes from different parts of speeches done over 2 months.
That's clever.
It's very clever. And you know what? Let's hear a little taste of that.
We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. Make sure you understand.
I'm never going to give you up.
I'll never let you down.
We're not going to run around and desert you.
Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching.
But you're too shy to say it.
Side we both know. It's been going on. We know the game, and we're going to play it. If you ask me how I'm feeling about this, don't tell me you're too blind to see. Never going to give. We're never going to let you down.
We're not going to run around and desert you. Never going to
Make you cry. Never going to say goodbye. I won't tell a lie and hurt you.
That's enough.
We're not going to run around and desert you.
So as you can see, and they were able to get, I think, pretty much the entire song in there, and he was able to make the legislature was able to make, Jefferson Smith was able to put that together and release it publicly, and it created, most people thought it was hilarious. It's February 2010 is when they started it. When they started doing it, and he released it on April Fool's Day in 2011. Took some time. At the time of this, when this was reading, it had 1.6 million YouTube viewers and counting. So that was the Oregon Rickroll in 2010.
That's cute.
That is cute. And that's all we have for you.
Well, thanks, Dean.
We just bring something, show these politicians in a better light.
Yeah.
Except for, of course, the Clinton White House.
Yeah,
who was-
Clinton, geez.
Don't put glue on
No.
this. That's not funny.
That was terrible.
The W. Just stop with that. You would have been fine.
Wait, didn't Trump's first White House staff do something nasty
I know, probably,
when they left?
but I don't know. He probably just took a shit in the desk. And
I thought they literally smashed stuff or something.
I don't probably.
I might be
In all likelihood.
I might be misremembering, but
Maybe you think of the Clinton White House in 2000, ripped out phone cords and shit like that. Now, I mean, obviously, Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up is a legendary song, and but I think somebody needs to do something like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
thanks,
hope you
Dean.
enjoyed that.